Hey there, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. So what have you been doing lately? Well, in the last couple of weeks, what I've been working on is upgrading my largest battery portable power bank that I have. It used to run off of two 35 amp hour 12 volt batteries. They're a gel battery, I believe, but they were designed to be used in wheelchairs. Anyway, I acquired those two like 4 years ago. They didn't cost me anything, so I decided I would start using them for a power supply. I actually did a video on that. If you go to my playlist, Portable Power, I think it's the very first one. You can see a picture of it in there, of this thing here. That's what I did. So since then, about a year ago or so, a little more, I bought a 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery. And I've been playing with the battery and doing some things, so I finally decided it's time to put it in a box and get those two batteries out. The last time I went to use this in that last power outage I had, I didn't mention it at the time, but I ended up using my Ryobi battery power packs to run things I needed to for about 4 hours instead of using this, because the batteries had gone dead in this. And so one of them is bad for sure. I'm not sure if they both are or not. But anyway, I decided to upgrade it with that 100 amp hour battery. I was done with some of the testing and the things I was trying to see if it worked. And actually, now that it's in here, it'll probably be easier to do some of those things too. So let me show you what I did to it. I upgraded a couple of things on it. I made it a little bit better. Again, it's still ugly, but you know me, I like ugly. So anyway, basically, it's a roll-around cart, and it has, on the back, it has two wheels on it that are off of a baby buggy. And they have locks on them, so I can actually lock it in place, and then it doesn't roll. On the front, yeah, that's Missy. Now they're going to be barking. On the front of this, I put a little ball caster. It's that little ball that's used on material handling. And it's like a ball transfer ball is what it is. And I just turned it upside down and use it as a caster. That way I can turn it in any direction I want. And that seems to work okay, so it makes it easy to move it around. If I'm going to work on it, I might have to lay it on its back to get at the battery itself. So I put a little peg here to be able to lean it back and rest it on here. On the back, I did mount my inverter, and this is an 800 watt modified sine wave. Excuse me. It's nothing fancy, but it does the job. And I put it on back here instead. So I have my two outlets here. And there is a USB port on it. I never use this here. Excuse me. And it just goes in. And right in underneath here is where all the electrical is. I have a shelf in here. I'll show you that in a second. So the battery, the only thing to keep in mind is that the rear axle on this thing here, this battery, I have it standing up on end. Of this particular battery. This is the Fly Power from Amazon, and you can actually buy this battery for about $289, which is a little less than I paid for this one a year and a half ago. But $289, 100 amp hour battery, that's not bad. So I would take this and I set it up on end, because on this end at the top, that's where the plug-in is for the battery charger. It has comes with a battery charger, a 10 amp, which I've also used on this unit, so that I can just plug that in the wall and it charges it at 10 amps. So that's what I use to kind of maintain it and keep it charged up, and it all came together. So, and the only other thing I did besides putting the 800 watt inverter so I can get electrical power out of this, the only other output I did is this little fella here, which is three 12 volt units. And then I have several different adapters that has some more 12 volt, but it also has some 3.0, some QC 3.0, and a PD power plug-in. I also have regular USB plug-in, and I can just plug these in here. They're all individually switched. I have a master switch here, so if I turn that on, that brings on my battery monitor. And now I can take and put this, a couple of those little lights that I had, I decided I'd keep a pair of these around. So now when I plug that in, and I turn it on, I have a little bit of light that I can use in some way if I want. So anyway, or I can unplug the lights from here and use this plug-in also for more of these. And like I said, they're all individually switched, so I can turn them on and off as I'm using them. It works real well. I can't complain. And at this point, it is pretty simple. Now, as far as in the wiring, because I put my monitor here, my battery monitor, and my, go lay down, go on. Yeah, she was about to pester me. And I put the master switch on it to help protect all the units, turning it on and off and save the battery. Now I will say, because this battery has the charger that plugs into the end of it, and that is obviously I can be charging it even with the power off, is what that'll do. So I don't think that my battery monitor here is going to really be able to do much as far as tell me what the state of that battery is, but it will tell me the usage of wattage and watt hours and amp hours that's gone through it that I've been using. So it may have some use, but I think I may switch this out for a simple battery capacity voltmeter, which just has a little battery there with lines on it, and then it tells you the voltage and the percent of charge that the battery is in. It gives you a rough idea, and I think I may switch this out for something along that line. As far as using it, yep, let me get that out of the way. Inside here, I have, well, this is the instructions that came with this battery monitor, so I just keep them here so they're with it. The inverter here, these wires I have temporarily, I've been waiting for some connectors to be able to cut these wires and put some connectors on it. This is an 8-gauge wire, and I didn't have any 8-gauge connectors of any kind. I didn't realize it. So I bought a few of those to add to my, what I keep in stock. And I'm going to cut these so I can cut these alligator clips off. Right now I just have them on here. And then once I've done that, then I'll come back and put heat shrink on everything. I have done some of it, but some of it I still want to put some heat shrink on it, on the cable lands. I used 4-gauge wire for all my main wiring coming off the battery until it gets to here. This is a 150 amp fuse, an ANL. So the battery comes up, goes through the switch, goes through the fuse, and then to the bus bar. So, and that's how it's wired up. And on the bus bar, I got some, the only thing I have connected to it is my meter right here. It goes to here to give me power here to be able to read the battery voltage. And I have this wire going up to here to give me my 12 volt power that I need for anything that I do at 12 volts instead of at 110. So it's a pretty simple unit. I now have 100 amp hours, which is like 1280 watt hours. And I think it'll be more than suitable. It's nice size at this point. At this point, I think I'm going to put it back to use. I'm going to make some more improvements to it as I go along, of course. But right now, I'm actually pretty happy with it. It's nothing to write home tomorrow about for looks, but it will do the job. The only other thing I got to do is I got to put my handle back on here that had it so I can lean it back and run it like a dolly. Right now, I've just been using this handle. So, but I do want to put a handle back on it, so then it'll make it easier to pick up. Like when I take it into the house, there's 2 steps I have to go up to get into the house. So I have to lift this or roll. I actually can roll it if I have a good handle on here. I can roll it up the stairs, so, and down the stairs with those wheels. So I really like the buggy wheels. I have to tell you, the stroller, that's actually a pretty good use, is to make a little dolly like this. So it makes the rolling around much easier than if I just use regular casters, I think. So anyway, that's what I've been working on. I'd love to hear what you're working on. In fact, might even be my next idea of what I do. You never know. So I'm glad I got this updated, and now it's fully functional again, and I can take it back to the house. I can leave it plugged in to the wall if I want, but I think I'm going to have to. I want to use this battery so it stays active. So I think I'm going to plug in to the inverter a couple of Ryobi battery chargers. So when I charge my Ryobi batteries, I'll do it through here, which still comes off of grid power, and I'll charge them up. But that'll kind of give this battery a little bit of exercise off and on. So at this point, it'll be just plugged in over in one corner of my shop, and I'll be able to throw a couple batteries on it, I think. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do with it. If I need more plugins and things like that, it'll be easy to add those as I go along. But it is functional. And the main thing I actually had this for was in my house, in the living room area, where we are every evening. And we have our TV in there, which is a widescreen TV, a 42 or a 48 inch, whatever it is, flat screen. And we have a VCR and not a VCR, a DVD player and a cable box hooked up to it. So they all plug into one outlet on the wall together, and on the other outlet I have it coming to a table that rolls around that has my computer set up and a few things like that. So if the power goes out, I can take this in, unplug those both from the wall, plug them into here, and I can run that whole living room area without any problem. So as far as lighting, I would still use some of my other alternatives for lightings, that my Ryobi things. Medusa, if you know who she is, that's my Ryobi 3-light spotlight that I have. In fact, you can see her sitting right over here. Whoop, right there. That's where she is. But it's got 3 little lights in line with each other. You turn it on, it's got 3 levels of light, all LED. And it'll run off a Ryobi battery for many hours. I forgot how many. But it's pretty thrifty, and it will light up in the whole area without any problem. And you can I can turn the lights in different directions. So I call it Medusa because it's just... Anyway, so I'm pretty comfortable when the power goes off in very short term. For 4 or 5 hours, I can plug all this in. And then I use my phone for the internet connection through through my computer. And we have plenty of things that we can watch on the TV that we have in DVDs and things like that. So it helps us keep entertained during that time period of when the power goes off. Because like I said, it's not a surprise 3 times a year for us to lose power for anywhere from 2 to 8 hours at a time. So no big deal. It's just the fact of life of living in the rural USA. I'm in southern Wisconsin, southeastern, and it's a rural city. There is no city. The next closest city to me is probably 5 miles away. There's countryside between. So it's not like when you got these big communities. So we do have a tendency to have power outages. It's just the way of life right now. Maybe eventually not, but I think as long as everything is aerial, which it is out in this area, we'll always have that. Anyway, enough about this. So now that I've got that to where I really want it, I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to break out my 4-pack Ryobi one. I got to get that thing back up and running. I had it going for a while, and it kind of messed up. So now that I have these new plugins that I bought from AliExpress that I showed you, that Ryobi batteries can plug into them, I'll be able to use those, excuse me, to upgrade that. So I'll be able to plug 4 Ryobi batteries into it, and it'll give me a battery pack just like this. So depending upon if I have 4 5 amp hour batteries plugged in, that'll give me a 20 amp hour battery. And I'll be able to put batteries in and out of it on the fly to keep it perpetually going also, if I want. So I could run 2 batteries and charge 2 batteries and just keep switching them out. Sorry about that. But I can switch the batteries out and keep running something constantly then. So it'll be a nice little charger to be able to have that I can just take rather than have to unplug it from what I'm using it for and plug something else into it, another battery pack. I can rotate them out and never lose power to whatever it is I'm running off of it. So I think that'll be a handy way to have a good power pack to keep it fully charged as I go along. And because that's something that most battery packs don't do. You have to take and plug them into the wall and let them charge up, or figure some way to charge it back up. I think you can do that by rotating batteries and charging them at one time and then switching them out with batteries that are in use. And that way you can keep something going without having to actually get a disruption of having to take the whole unit offline and recharge it and then bring it back. So, because one thing's for sure, how I charge up is separate from how I am using these batteries. And if you want me to explain that further, I can, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory that I am going to take them one place to charge them up and then distribute them back out and use them during an outage. So, and I only need to have power in 2 or 3 places, the way it works. So anyway, I want to get that battery pack working because I have 4 5-amp-hour batteries that I can throw that into there at any time and have a 20-amp-hour battery pack. I also want to make my 2 16-amp-hour batteries into battery packs and have a plug-in on that for a Ryobi to plug in, and I'll be able to take the power from that Ryobi battery and recharge that 16-amp-hour battery up while it's being used. So it becomes a perpetual battery pack also, which is what I think that I'm kind of evolved to, is that all my stuff, I can actually put batteries in it and rotate them to keep it charged up while it's in use, rather than having to pull it off and put another battery pack in. We just pull batteries and rotate the batteries out and leave the unit sitting there. So anyway, that's the theory. It's got a lot of holes in the ideas, but I think maybe I can work most of it out over a little time. I haven't seen anybody else do anything like this, so you know me, got to do something that's weird, and that'll be it. So I'm planning on finishing up my Ryobi stuff here. Hopefully, in the next month, I'll have all of this done, and then we can go back to doing some really cool workshop stuff, because I have some things in here I want to start doing again. I know some of you have had to put up with the electrical part, because I don't think that everybody who watches this channel is a fan of the electrical part as much as they are some of the other things in the woodworking aspects that I've done. So, but we're going to get back to that here. As soon as I get these battery packs all working like they should be and have them set up so they can stay charged till I need them, then I can get that off my mind and go back to just doing things in the shop that are strange and unusual. Yeah, as opposed to my battery packs. Okay. Anyway, that is enough about that. Let me know what you're working on. It could easily be my next project, I can tell you now. So, if you're working on something interesting or not, just leave a comment. I'd love to hear from everybody. If you have any questions or any comments, they go in the comments, because I read every single one of them. If you learned something here or you like this video, hit that like button. That lets me know that I'm doing something right. Most importantly, though, please come back again, because I'm nowhere near done. Thanks. We'll see you guys again very soon.